Buy my book. 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 Buy my book.
Sorry, it had to be done.
Why? All he said was, buy my book. Buy my book. Buy my book. I'll be quiet.
Well, well, well. A lot has changed since the last time you all saw me. I'm a dad now. That's the thing that's happened. She is already 6 weeks old. I can't believe how time is already flying. But one of the pieces of advice I got right around the time of her birth was that the days are long, but the years are short. And it's definitely true so far, where it felt like we had all these long days and long nights. But I looked up today and I'm like, oh my god, she's already 6 weeks old. It's crazy. The day of her birth was also a crazy day. I'll spare you all the gory details, but everything turned out great. She is a nice, healthy, happy baby, and my wife and I love her to death. She is absolutely wonderful, but also it takes up a lot of time caring for a newborn baby, but I'm just starting to get back into the swing of things, back at work, taking care of some other side projects around the house, and also getting back to video making. I'm going to try and get a video up to you guys once a week. We'll try and get once a week, but keep in mind my schedule is quite hectic, so keep that in mind given everything that's going on. I actually just got off I just recently finished a 3-month, 2.5-month battle with well, Maryland calls it the MVA, but it's the DMV, where my registration got suspended for a very, very stupid reason that could have been fixed easily, but for whatever reason, they felt like it needed to be long and drawn out, and I had to go in person, make phone calls, do stuff online, and it was just this constant, never-ending cycle that just drove me insane for 2.5 months. So, but that has finally been resolved, although it did reinforce my distaste for government entities. Going through all that nonsense, I'm like, all this regulation and all this bureaucracy over something that should have been a simple and easy quick fix. But be that as it may. But another thing I want to bring up to you guys is that my book, Godzilla the Monster Fight Record, Volumes 1 and 2, are done. I have the proof copies right here. That's why you'll notice they say not for resale. These are the proof copies of the book, with the which I use for my final proofread. And also I have hardcover copies too. I'll show those off right here. Oh my god, it's so weird seeing a book with my name on it. It's so crazy. But yeah, the book is completely 100% done and is going to be ready for release very, very soon. And I'll put the links in the description, but the digital version of the book, the Kindle edition, is available for pre-order on Amazon right now. You can go order that right now. I'm going to let you in on a little something. In formatting the Kindle edition and the online edition in general, I was not a fan of how it looked overall, but it was the best I could do. And I do have like a little blurb at the beginning of the book explaining, it's like, look, it doesn't look the best, but this is the best I could do with the online edition. You'd probably be better served because this book is loaded with data tables and numbers and all sorts of things like that. It probably works better in a actual physical hard copy format, so you're probably better off getting the paperback or hardcover editions. That's just my opinion, my recommendation, but if you want to get the online Kindle edition, go for it. It will be available, all versions should be available on August 27th. Which is this Sunday, which there's something else happening this Sunday, which I'm going to talk about in this video. But for whatever reason, Amazon doesn't allow you to put up hardcover and paperback versions on pre-order, so those versions are not available for pre-order right now. But I am going to do everything I can to get them up on the 27th, but Amazon has this weird thing where once you post it, it could take up to 72 hours for it to appear on Amazon, but sometimes, because again, I did it with the Kindle version, and it showed up within an hour. So, who knows? So, I'm going to try and get it up by August 27th, but it may take a couple of days after that. But But yeah, the book will be available fully in all formats in Amazon very, very soon. And I am currently working on getting the book available in all formats with barnesandnoble.com. I've set everything up through them. One of the editions is currently still under review. One of the versions of Volume 1 is still under review. So, but for right now, I believe all of the other versions are available for pre-order, and that includes paperback, hard copy, and online digital format. So all of those are available as well for pre-order. And those will be for sale September 9th. So a little bit further down the road, but my goal was to get these books out before the release of the next Godzilla movie, which is Godzilla -1, a movie that looks very interesting. We don't know too much about it beyond what we've seen in the teaser trailer, but looks very interesting. But I wanted to get this book out there, the complete record of Godzilla's fight history, which is the point of this book. I wanted to get it out there before the release of the new movie and basically rendered this out of date. So this covers, I believe completely, Godzilla's fight history all the way from his beginning in 1954 all the way to Godzilla vs. Kong in 2021, which is the stopping point for now. And it's like, I could add a Volume 3 at some point, or maybe an updated edition that adds the new Godzilla movies to it, because we've also got the Godzilla Kong sequel coming out next year. I'll believe it when I see it. The MonsterVerse movies have a tendency to get pushed back, but right now, it's set for release in March of 2024, but we'll see if that sticks. But you'll notice that it is separated into 2 volumes. Volume 1 is the Showa era, which is 1954 to 1975, and the modern eras of Godzilla, which includes Heisei Millennium, MonsterVerse, Anime Trilogy, and Shin Godzilla. That's all covered in Volume 2. So this is all the modern eras of Godzilla. But I would recommend getting both volumes. Some people have asked me, why are there 2 volumes? The main reason for that is because the earliest criticism I got of the book, because my very first complete draft ended up being over 1,000 pages. And the people I showed it to all said the exact same thing. It's way too long. Way too long. You've got to trim it down. And I trimmed it down a little bit, but it turned out the best way to trim it down was to split it in 2. And I think, the end of the Showa era for Godzilla provides kind of a nice cutoff point for a Volume 1 before diving into the more modern eras from the 1980s and onwards. So if anyone's wondering why I made that decision, that's why. It was because the criticism I kept getting was that the book was too long. So the book, you'll be able to judge for yourselves very soon. The book will go on sale August 27th on Amazon and September 9th on barnesandnoble.com. So those links will be provided in the description. If you want any more information, you can reach me at twitter.com/PatrickGBook. The link is also in the description. So I enjoy talking to people, so if you want to reach out to me or you have any questions about the book, you can ask me and reach out to me through that medium. But this book was a long project. Started 3 years ago when the COVID lockdowns nearly drove me insane. I'm an introverted person by nature. That's how I normally am, but even the COVID lockdowns proved to me that there is such a thing as too much of a good thing, because being trapped inside for felt longer, but it was I think everything was locked down for where I was for about 2.5, 3 months. And I nearly went insane. I couldn't go to the gym, couldn't go out to eat, couldn't hang out with friends or anything. And it drove me, the boredom and the sadness that I was feeling was almost too much for me to handle. And I was one of the lucky ones, because I still had a job that I could work remote. There were people that got way, way, way worse deals than I did. But the isolation that I felt during that time kind of drove me insane. It's I needed to keep busy. I needed to do something. So I ended up writing this book about Godzilla's fight history, and I thought, stupid me, being completely naive to the whole process of writing a book, I thought, I could probably write that in 6 months and I'll be done and it'll be available and, whatever. No, that was not the case, and I ended up having to proofread and reformat this thing many times, and the completion of this project was made possible through the people that helped me along the way, namely the people who edited my book and the people who provided me with feedback and guidance on how to format this thing and get it right and make sure that the book is as good as it can be. Now, I'm not going to sit here and promise you there still aren't some mistakes in the book, but again, I'll update that for a future edition. But I've proofread this thing multiple times, and hopefully the versions you get on August 27th or September 9th, depending on where you order from, hopefully they are relatively mistake-free, but fingers crossed, we'll see. I feel like I caught them all, but again, we shall see. And I want to give a final thank you to those who wrote the foreword, Barry Goldberg, John LeMay, and of course James Rolfe at Cinemassacre.com, who provided me with introductions and forewords for both volumes of the book. And if you want to see what they had to say, you can go ahead and purchase the book and check it out for yourselves. But that was a nice added bonus that really added the cherry on top of this whole project and made it even more worthwhile for me that I had them lend their voices to it. Barry Goldberg, who ran, if it wasn't the first Godzilla website I went to, it was one of the first in Barry's Temple of Godzilla way back in 1996. And that was actually the first place I found a Godzilla fight record, so to have him lend his voice to this means a lot. And I was amazed that I was able to track him down and get in touch with him, but it was truly, and it's weird the things I get nostalgic for, because now I'm like nostalgic for old fan websites that I used to go to. And John LeMay, who's a Godzilla author himself and written a few great Godzilla books. I recommend his 3-volume series, The Big Book of Japanese Giant Monsters, specifically Volume 3, which is an account of all the films that didn't get made, and is very informative and wonderful, and he gave me some advice on how to format the book as well, in addition to writing the introduction. So it meant a lot to me that he helped me out as well. And of course James Rolfe, who's a Godzilla fan very much like myself, and has made his own Godzilla related content over the years, and that was a shocking one when I got that email saying, oh yeah, sure, I'll do it. Didn't expect that, but it was it's great to have him involved as well. And again, like having them help me out with this process made the book even more worthwhile to me. And yeah, they helped me complete it, and I just wanted to give one last thank you to them because it really meant a lot. And again, if you want to see what they had to say in their introductions, you can go ahead and buy the books on Amazon or BarnesandNoble.com, wherever you decide to purchase it. But again, just to reiterate, Amazon.com, we're aiming for this Sunday, August 27th, and Barnes & Noble, that will be up. All versions will be available on September 9th. So a couple weeks out, but we're getting there. We are getting there, and it's a very, very exciting time. And I never thought, again, I'm still kind of blown away by it. I never thought I would have my name on a book. But again, it's the COVID lockdowns motivated me to be a little bit more proactive with my life. It's also crazy to think like the passage of time from when I started writing this book and how my life has changed so much since then. It's like I met my wife, got married, had a baby. Well, my wife had the baby. I was there in the room. I saw everything, but she had the baby. But I helped. You know, I was there. I was involved in the process. But it's just crazy to think about how much has changed in my life during that time. But so this book not only represents my Godzilla fandom and a topic that I'm very passionate about, but it also represents like probably the most active period of my entire life. Something that, again, began with me frustrated and bored and lonely and isolated, and ended up with me like probably the most motivated and active I've ever been in my entire life. So it's just crazy to think about. And so when I look back on this book and the whole process of creating it, that's the stuff I remember the most, like everything that happened to me during the time that it took to create the thing. So again, that's Godzilla the Monster Fight Record. Volumes 1 and 2 will be available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. The links are in the description. And again, another reminder, the paperback and hardcover versions are not available for pre-order on Amazon because they don't allow that, but I will do everything I can to make sure that they become available this Sunday. It might be a couple days after, but It just depends on Amazon's wacky system. And I recommend getting a hard copy version, again, either hardcover or paperback, because the digital version I personally don't think looks that great. But hey, maybe you might prefer that. I don't know. We're in a new age now where everything is digital, and But personally, I prefer these formats. But I'm also old, so that's why I feel that way. But that is all about the book for right now. I'm sure I will do more promoting for it on social media and other things, and trying to pursue other avenues to promote the book, doing interviews and things like that. But I'll keep you posted on if anything like that comes about. But for right now, let's talk about wrestling, because a lot has happened in the world of professional wrestling since I've been out. Let's start with WWE, because SummerSlam took place. I'm not going to review the whole show, because we're a few weeks removed from it, and going back and reviewing it would just be a waste of time. But I feel like SummerSlam was overall solid. I feel like it peaked early with like Cody and Brock and Logan Paul and Ricochet. Logan Paul's having a fun time these days, isn't he? But in any case, those were the two best matches on the show, so I felt like the card kind of peaked early, but it was overall an entertaining show. I have a lot to say about the main event and how it's going to tie into the Bloodline, but I'll get there in a minute. But starting with Raw, and I haven't seen last night's episode. I want to make that clear. I haven't seen this week's episode yet, so I don't know what that was like. But Raw's kind of getting into a very repetitive pattern where it's kind of like the Judgment Day show, and it's just Sammy and Cody and whoever else they involve in the situation, like fighting the Judgment Day, and that seems to be every episode now. And you have Seth Rollins defending the World Heavyweight title, which I have more to say when I talk about Roman, but that's still... And it's through no fault of Seth. It's through no fault of anybody he's working with. It's not even through the fault of the creative that's trying to make this belt mean something, but it still just feels like a consolation prize, because it is. It is a consolation prize, and it's positioned as the number 2 belt. And again, I'll elaborate more when I talk about the current situation with Roman, but... Raw's got the number 2 world title. I would even argue that I'm probably more interested in the Intercontinental title and what Gunther's doing, getting ready to break Honky Tonk Man's record and the situation he's got going with Chad Gable. I'm more interested in that than anything the World Heavyweight title is involved in. But Raw's been kind of stale and repetitive lately. Now that's... there have been periods in Raw's history where it's been much, 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 much worse than this. This is at least palatable, but it's still, a lot of the formulaic aspects of WWE programming that creep in, where it's like, the entrances go so long that they go to commercial break, and a lot of the matches look the same after a while. The matches are too long, which is an industry-wide problem across the board, and I cannot believe that so many wrestling companies are doing this, where it's like these matches go on and on and on forever. In an age where people's attention spans are so much worse now than they've ever been, and their insistence on having long matches is just... And it's like, it's almost every match. I understand if it's like a match like Edge and Sheamus, Edge's 25th anniversary, heavily promoted match. Okay, fine. You can go long there, but... like, it feels like every match goes 2 or 3 segments, and it's like, guys, what are you doing? It's just way too long, and I think in a lot of cases it's because they have so much programming to fill, and personally, I feel like they should skew towards shorter matches, more angles, more promos, to help sell the matches, so that when you get to the matches that do go long, they feel a little bit more important, they're a little bit more exciting, a little bit more interesting. But if every match goes... 15, 20 minutes and goes past 1 or 2 commercial breaks, it's just none of them feel special. A lot of the matches feel a lot less special, honestly. And again, this is an industry-wide problem. It's not a WWE thing. It's not just an AEW thing, although AEW is also very, very guilty of this. Actually, Collision this past episode of Collision had a lot of squash matches. I was like, oh, thank God. Like, oh, great, more of that, please. More squash matches, and just get to the friggin' point, get to the angles, and get to the stories. And then when you get to the pay-per-views or the big episodes, that have those big matches, it'll feel like a big deal, and that's what they should be doing. But it feels like nobody's doing that now, and it's just makes the programming that much harder to watch. And I mean, you know, I'll watch an episode of Raw, and it's a 3-hour episode between skipping commercials or matches that don't catch my interest. Like, I could get through a full episode of Raw in like an hour 10. I feel like, you know, when you skip the commercials and you skip the recaps, and you skip the matches that are not that interesting or going too long, you can probably get through an entire episode of Raw in like an hour 10. Like, it's pretty remarkable how much fluff there is on that show that just doesn't feel important. And, you know, and I think having shorter matches would help. You know, but that's just my take. But let's move on to SmackDown, what's been going on over there. Two major things with SmackDown right now. LA Knight has taken over the world and is basically the most over guy in WWE right now, and I am very happy for him. This is a guy who was in Impact just a few years ago. Eli Drake. Dummy, yeah. I was singing this dude's praises back when he was in Impact, and people kind of gave me the side eye. It was like, oh, he's just some guy that's on Impact. Who cares about Impact? And I'm like, yeah, I know, but he's really good. And you look at who Impact was showcasing at the time. It was Eli Drake, it was Bobby Lashley, it was Drew Galloway, Drew McIntyre, and who were some of the top guys? I mean, maybe not top guys in WWE, but Lashley and McIntyre had a WrestleMania World Title match. So it's like, all right, so how bad was that version of Impact, really? And I do want to do a video on Impact coming up in a few weeks, because they are getting close to 1,000 episodes of Impact, and it is hard to believe that the third longest running wrestling show out there today is Impact, because it's Raw, SmackDown, and Impact is number 3. They've been around. They are the cockroach that just will not go down the toilet. It's remarkable how long they've lasted. But I've actually been kind of enjoying them lately. I've got back into it a couple months ago, and I've kind of like, it's nice, simple, and fun. It looks like a high-level indie, but it's fun to watch. So there's some enjoyment to be had from there. But so I want to do a video for that. Maybe in a couple of weeks. We'll see how everything goes, but in any case, LA Knight is now, he's taken the simple catchphrase, yeah, and he's become the most over guy in WWE right now and selling all the merch and everything, and it feels like WWE is having a hard time pivoting because he wasn't supposed to get over that big. It feels like he was not supposed to get over to the degree that he did, and WWE doesn't know how to pivot towards him or how to keep the focus on the guys that they do want to use, because they're obviously very high on Austin Theory. I don't get it. Austin Theory's a weird guy where there's nothing outwardly or obviously bad about him, but he's not clicking, and there's something about him that's missing, and I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but he's just not that interesting. And I would much rather watch LA Knight, but you watched last week's SmackDown, who went over in the match? It was Austin Theory for some reason, and it's like, dude, what are we doing here? It's like, you've got this guy who organically got over, and you're giving him to a guy who beat John Cena at WrestleMania, and I think came out of that even less over than he was before. And I don't know. I don't understand, but seems like you're shooting yourself in the foot to me. But he is feuding with The Miz in a kind of interpromotional war of the brands between Raw and SmackDown, which that could be good for him. It's a feud that focuses on the microphone, which is where both men kind of excel. So, all right, cool. I'm down with that. But LA Knight, I'm proud of him for what he's done. He's also a Maryland boy, so I've got to show some love to the Maryland guy. But again, he's a guy that I saw promising years ago, and a lot of people, and I'm not always right. I'm not always right about people. I thought Chris Harris was going to be a big star, and look how that turned out. But LA Knight is one I can honestly say I was right about that one. So I called that one, and here's hoping WWE has big plans for him because, again, going back to how tone deaf they can be sometimes, WrestleMania was in LA, and he never appeared on camera during the entire 2-night event, and that just boggles my mind. Just completely boggles my mind. They didn't have a match for him or a major segment or anything. He was just left off completely, and that just feels like he's from LA. It's in his name. It's in his friggin' name, and how could you not think of anything for him to do? I don't get it. I don't understand it, but hey. I'm not part of creative, so what do I know? But here's hoping that they manage to find something good for him to do. Now, as far as who he's being compared to, some people are saying The Rock, some people are saying Stone Cold Steve Austin. I see a lot of DDP in him. That's kind of what I see. The guy who just willed himself into existence and got over through sheer force of effort and will. And so I invite a lot of comparisons to Diamond Dallas Page and LA Knight. But in any case, I see some promise there. And it's like, better strike the iron while it's hot. And they're using him more. And they did give him the win in the Battle Royal at SummerSlam, which was, yes, absolutely, he should have won that match. So it's like, okay, here's hoping that they got something good going for him over the next couple months and heading into WrestleMania season, but we'll have to wait and see. But I just wanted to comment on how proud I am of him, and this is a guy that I saw potential in years ago, and it's like, yep, him. The other one I was right about was AJ Styles, because he was one that was he was my non-WWE guy for years. In the mid to late 2000s, I was an AJ guy. And WWE fans always tell me, oh, he's just a spot monkey. Oh, he's going to be retired in 5 years because of all the bumps he takes. Oh, this, that, and the other. And AJ Styles went to WWE and became WWE champion. Oops. And the WWE fans accepted him then, but it's just funny to see how certain things play out. But yeah, I'm really excited for LA Knight, and I'm really proud of him. And here's hoping that he keeps going onward and upward, because when you get over like that, you deserve it. You deserve to be rewarded with that. But here's hoping. And the other thing going on SmackDown right now is the ever-going saga with the Bloodline. Now, all of the stuff with the Usos splitting from Roman and heading into SummerSlam, most of that was really good. Then we got to the SummerSlam match between Jay and Roman, the Tribal Combat match, which was a slog. That thing was way too long. Way too long. Especially for a match where everyone and their grandmother knew that Roman was going to retain in that match. So why drag the match out that long? And of course the Jimmy turning on Jay thing, a lot of people predicted that would happen. And now we've got the situation where Jay is quit WWE, and nobody really buys it. Nobody buys it. He'll be back. It's not like a CM Punk thing from 2011 where it was like, oh my God, what is actually happening right now? This just feels like, this just feels like a storyline. And I think we've gotten to that point with Roman as champion that I feared we were going to get to when he went over Cody at WrestleMania. Or it's like, we're going to get to a point where it's like, okay, who is there left for him to beat? He's beaten everybody. There's no one left. And in the time between WrestleMania and now, we've had a new title invented as, again, a consolation prize because Roman beat everybody. And now it's like, well, they just had to create a separate title because Roman beat everybody and no one can beat him. And now, because he beat everybody, he's got no one to work with, so they have to stretch this thing out with the Usos because there's no one left. He's beaten everybody, and again, I don't know what their plan is heading into WrestleMania or what the ultimate goal is with Roman as champion, but I feel like it's lost a lot of steam, especially coming out of SummerSlam, where it's now like, okay, now what are we going to do? He's going to beat everybody. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how it's all going to play out. And maybe they can keep it going great, but I did see a tweet online that was perfect. It's like, yep, we've entered the higher power Wolfpack phase of the Bloodline storyline. It kind of feels that way, where we've run out of steam, but we got to find ways to keep it going, and they kind of grasp at straws and get desperate to keep it going. And it's like, oh no. Not great. And now the way I'm feeling right now is like, maybe Cody should have gone over at WrestleMania. Maybe that should have been the way to go. I don't know. But right now, WWE programming, it's not the best that it's been, but it's also far from, considering how bad WWE's been in the past, it's definitely nowhere near the worst they've ever been. But things are kind of losing steam creatively, and it's like I'm waiting for that next big thing to kind of hook me. And right now, the thing that's hooking me in WWE is LA Knight. But they've got to start doing something major with him to keep that interesting and fresh. So I think that's enough of the WWE talk. Let's go into AEW and what's been going on over there and the ongoing situation with CM Punk and the Elite where they're kind of snipping. Well, it seems one-sided where all the snipping is coming from Punk's end, and it's like, dude, stop. Can you not? Can you just keep your mouth shut? And look, he might have a point or two, and he might be right. The Elite might be a bunch of assholes. I don't know. I'm not back there. But you don't, bring it up on TV, or, in front of a live audience. He did it after the show wrapped up. But you don't bring it up in front of a live audience and get people talking like this and kind of make the backstage drama more exciting than what's on, the storylines currently going on camera. And it's like, unless this is building to Punk versus the Elite, Punk should just keep his mouth shut. And it's like, look, they gave you a whole other show just to keep you away from the Elite. And it looks like they had to create another show, which only adds to AEW's oversaturation with too much programming. But they gave him a whole other show just to kind of keep him happy and keep everybody happy, keep him away from the Elite. And at least it feels, unless this is building to Punk versus the Elite down the road and we're all being played. I don't know. But for right now, it just seems like Punk's is unable to keep his temper in check, which is remarkable at this point. But as far as how I feel about the week-to-week programming, I still feel Collision's the better show. It has basic storyline progression. Everything seems to be going at a more reasonable pace that I can absorb what's going on. There's more of a cause and effect element with, you look at Ricky Starks. He cheats to win, gets the rematch with Punk where they have to bring in Ricky Steamboat as a guest referee to ensure that everything goes down fair and square. And his cheating is undone, so he gets upset, beats up Ricky Steamboat, gets suspended, so now he's become a manager for the time that he's suspended, and he's working with someone like Big Bill. So there's this actual progression from week to week with him, and it's a lot easier to digest, and it's a lot more exciting to watch. Unfortunately, Collision's on the worst night. Saturday is not a good night in the modern age to have a wrestling show, especially when they already have a Wednesday show, they already have a Friday show, and now there's another show on top of that. I think Collision's the best of the three shows, typically. But it's also on the worst night, and it's coming at the end after two other AEW shows earlier in the week. So it just makes the brand feel bloated more than anything else, even though it is the better of the three shows. Dynamite has been I swear whoever's putting Dynamite together is on the best or the worst cocaine. I don't know, but this past show in particular was they took so long signing matches for All In that they were just rapid fire throwing them out there, and it was like a cocaine-fueled baseball game where they're just throwing out pitches left and right, and it's like, this match, we're doing this match, and we're doing this match, and it's like, whoa, dude, slow down. Calm down and slow down. And Dynamite's been kind of a mess lately, so I don't know if that, I don't know what the reason is for that, but Collision is the more enjoyable of the shows. My biggest knock on Collision is that Punk wrestles too often, and FTR wrestles too often, and you want to keep them special, and their matches to feel like a big deal. And if Punk wrestles every week, it's not a big deal that he's wrestling. So keep him as a special attraction, and keep his matches, space them out more so it feels more special. But other than that, I think Collision is the better of all the AEW shows by a fairly wide margin. At least it has been for the past couple of weeks. But we've got All In coming in this Sunday, same day my book is available for sale on Amazon.com. Check that out. Buy my book. But we've got All In, the big stadium show in Wembley. I remember doing a video at the time that this show was announced and thinking, wow, they're gonna play Wembley? That's huge. That is huge that they're doing that. And I thought of all these different attractions that they would probably try to get for the show, like get Mercedes Moné, couldn't get her because she got hurt. Get Zack Sabre Jr. working with Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson got hurt. I know that Nigel and Danielson was rumored to be one of the matches, but Danielson got hurt again. And so that kind of put the kibosh on that. I thought maybe Wardlow and Goldberg would be a match they'd want to do. They've ruined Wardlow. Absolutely ruined him. I think he's ruined beyond repair, honestly. They had a really cool guy there for a hot minute, especially coming after the feud with MJF, and they've just fumbled the ball with him every step of the way. It's really remarkable how badly they've messed up Wardlow. So if they were going to do a Wardlow-Goldberg match now, I'd be like, so Goldberg's going to kill him in like 2 minutes, right? Because nobody views Wardlow as like an unstoppable force that could beat a Goldberg. At least that's the way he's been presented. I thought maybe they'd do Omega and Ospreay 3 I thought they'd save Omega Ospreay 2 for the Dome, but they did it at Forbidden Door instead. We're not getting that, although we are getting Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega on the card. They are going to be in separate matches, and it looks like they're going to be saving Omega and Ospreay 3 for the Tokyo Dome event, which is fine. It makes sense. But a lot of these big attractions... Oh, I also thought maybe they do Sting's retirement at the Dome, just to kind of like add a lot of pomp and circumstance into this event. Turns out they didn't really need it, because it looks like they've sold all the tickets. They've sold a ton of tickets, and I'm not going to get into the whole debate over, whether they've sold the most tickets to any wrestling event of all time or whatever, but... all the things all the bells and whistles I thought they were going to have to pull to, fill up that stadium... It looks like, based on the ticket sales, that they didn't actually have to, because they sold a lot of those tickets without any matches being announced, and the matches we did get are kind of like... I'm not going to sit here and say it's a bad card. I don't think it's a bad card, but it is a bit cluttered with some of the multi-person matches, and some of the bigger matches I've seen already, seen before. And there's one match I'm really excited about, and that's the main event, which I'll talk about when I do the preview. But this card is not as exciting or as interesting as I thought it could or should be, but they drew the crowd. So really the appeal for me here, and why I'm going to be checking out the show, it's like I want to see what AEW looks like in such a setting, because normally we see the stadium setting, that's for WrestleMania and for WWE. So I want to see what another company looks like in a big stadium setting and what they do to make that show as big and as grand as possible. So going over the card, we do have one pre-show match. Aussie Open defending the ROH World Tag Team Championships against Better Than You, Bebe, MJF, and Adam Cole as a prelude to their main event later in the show. Now, some people have criticized this. Eric Bischoff raised some very good points. I'm not going to say he's completely wrong here, where it's... You have a big star like an MJF, you have Adam Cole, who's the challenger in the main event, and you're giving them away before the show even really starts. And so the live audience is going to see them before their main event match. And it dilutes them as special attractions, specifically MJF. And I know Bischoff has said in the past that he doesn't like tournament shows because the same guy has to work 3 times, and by the time you've seen him once... You've already seen the guy. So it's less special. It's diminishing returns every time they come out. And I think he's got a point there. I don't think Bischoff is completely wrong. And actually, under most circumstances, I would agree with him. If MJF and Adam Cole were working the pre-show and they didn't have this storyline going on right now with them, I'd be like, what the hell are they doing putting them on the pre-show? However, this storyline right now with MJF and Adam Cole... And it's like they've been friends, and the bromance that they have going seems to be legitimate, but we're waiting for that big turn. Either one. I personally, if it were up to me, I'd have Cole turn on MJF, because everybody's expecting MJF to go full-on heel again, and I'm like, nah, I would go the other way around. I think that would be more interesting, especially with the Kingdom and Roderick Strong kind of waiting in the wings. Or keep them together and have them feud with the Kingdom moving forward and see if they can do anything with that. But I'm so hooked into the storyline that I want to see if anything happens on that pre-show that kind of throws an extra layer onto the build-up for the main event. And I've talked about this before with pre-show matches. Modern pre-shows, they just fill them with matches and that's it. I remember when pre-shows would have like angles to kind of keep things interesting heading into the pay-per-view as kind of a last final hook or pitch or sale for the pay-per-view. WrestleMania 15, I remember... They had Big Show, and he was going to confront Austin on the way into the building. And it was like, oh my God, is Big Show going to attack Austin right before the big main event with Rock? And you're kind of watching to see if Austin's still going to be around. It's like, dude, if he confronts Big Show, he could not make it for the main event. Like, what's going to happen? Or Royal Rumble 99, another great example where McMahon found a cheeky way of banning Austin from the building as a way of keeping him out of the Royal Rumble match, another layer to screw him over. And Austin is like, you need a limousine to enter the building and through this entrance, otherwise you can't enter. So Austin somehow, some way, gets a limousine with monster truck wheels. I don't know how he set that up in less than an hour, but he did. And he comes in, rolls over a couple limousines, and then enters the building because technically he entered in a limousine. And again, it's an added layer to the story that keeps things interesting and keeps us hooked and excited for the main show that's about to come, which has the big story payoffs. And I think that's how pre-show should be. Another example I've used is a TNA example, Slammiversary 05, where Jeff Jarrett attacked a fan and was removed from the King of the Mountain match, and Raven got put in his place. So the whole dynamic of the main event got changed during the pre-show, and it was like, oh my God, I got to check out the show to see what's going to happen. And I've made the comment about the show. It's like, I think the pre-show was more exciting than the show itself because it was such a wild angle to do the night of the show. And I think pre-shows would be more effective if they were used that way, instead of just cramming matches on there. And here, with this, yes, it's a match, but there's potential to add like an extra wrinkle into the story between MJF and Adam Cole. And I want to see what they do here. It's like, are they going to win the tag titles? Is the turn going to happen? Are we going to get a heel turn before the main event? Before the show even starts? Is one of them going to get attacked backstage and leaving the other one in a 2-on-1 situation? Like, what's going to happen? And I'm genuinely intrigued by this pre-show. I'm honestly more intrigued by the pre-show match than I am most of the matches on the card. Just because I want to see what happens between MJF and Adam Cole. So while I think Bischoff's criticisms are legitimate to some degree, I'm willing to let it slide on this particular occasion because I want to see what happens between MJF and Adam Cole, because this storyline does have me hooked. But moving on to the main card, we've got a Stadium Stampede match that came the holy hell out of nowhere. Eddie Kingston, the Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, and Trent Beretta, and the Lucha Brothers, Penta El Zero Miedo, and Rey Fenix, taking on the Blackpool Combat Club, Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, who tries to be intimidating but is the least imitating human being on that show. Wheeler Yuta's one guy they've tried to push. I don't get him. I don't understand it at all. And three individuals to be determined to fill out this team. Now, normally Stadium Stampede is reserved for like a big blood feud between two factions, and it's been used pretty effectively by AEW. It's kind of their signature match that they've created. TNA has the Ultimate X match. WWE has, the Hell in a Cell. Like, the thing that they put their own stamp on is like their signature gimmick match. Elimination Chamber is another one. Royal Rumble's another one. WWE's got a lot of them. But this Stadium Stampede is kind of AEW's, where it's like that's the match that they created. That's kind of their baby, and typically used for great situations with great storylines. But as I said, this kind of feels like a random mishmash of talents just thrown together just for the sake of having a match. And I'm just kind of like, it'll probably be fun to watch, but and I have absolutely no idea who the three partners are going to be, but I also don't care who's going to win this thing. So I would imagine the Blackpool Combat Club would win, but again, this just feels so random and tacked on to a show that already has a few multi-person matches on it, and it's like, I don't know. Take it or leave it. Next up, we have the title match that virtually nobody really cares about, and that's the AEW Women's title match, a fatal four-way. Hikaru Shida, the new champion, defending against Toni Storm, Saraya, and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Now, if I were a betting man, the original plan was probably Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter for the belt. That was probably the original plan, but Jamie Hayter got hurt. It may have even been a four-way with Saraya and Dr. Britt Baker thrown in, but Jamie Hayter was supposed to be like the key component or the fourth element of this match. And it would have made some kind of sense where it's like, okay, it's all the wrestlers who have a history in the UK and Dr. Britt Baker, who's like, say whatever you want about her and her recent efforts. I think Britt's back is shot, and it's affected her timing and her ability to bump, and it's showing, unfortunately. But she is AEW's iconic woman creation in a company that has struggled with creating iconic female characters. She's the one that they've made. So it makes sense for her to be there in the big stadium setting. Hikaru Shida's title win felt a little random, and it felt like something that they tacked on because they wanted a title change on the 200th episode and of Dynamite. And yeah, this is about it. I'm not overly excited about this match. I guess if I have anything nice to say about this, it's that, you know, good for Saraya overcoming a career-ending injury to get back to her home country to perform in a stadium. I mean, that's kind of cool and an interesting element to the story, but she's also a heel in this situation, so it's like, you can't even really enjoy that. I guess Shida retains, because what's the point? Like, what's the point of switching the title? Maybe they'll have Tony win it back. Maybe they'll have Saraya win it. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't really care all that much. It's not the best situation. All right, and then we've got the tag team coffin match: Darby Allin and Sting versus the Mogul Embassy, AR Fox and Swerve Strickland. This should be a fun match. Darby Allin's been busy because he's also involved with the TNT Championship. He's going to be fighting for the TNT title at All Out the next week, which again is one of those things where it's like, that's kind of burning the candle at both ends, isn't it? Having both All In and All Out like a week apart from each other. I don't know. You want to like not have another show? I who knows? But anyway, this should be a fun match. Typical Sting and Darby type of thing that we've been seeing for the past couple, pretty much Sting's entire run with AEW right now. I would imagine the faces would win here. That would be my guess, especially since Darby's got a title match coming up right afterwards in the next pay-per-view. Swerve Strickland's kind of won me over. When they first signed him, I was kind of like, really? Okay, but he's kind of won me over, and AR Fox is somebody I like from his Lucha Underground days, so it's nice to see him getting a run of some kind. And this, again, yeah, this could be a fun match, but I'm picking the faces to win. Next up, we've got the Trios match. The Golden Elite, Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, and Adam Hangman Page versus Konosuke Takeshita and Juice Robinson and Jay White of Bullet Club Gold. Again, this feels like a Dynamite match. This feels like a random thrown on there kind of match. The only thing that kind of elevates it to the pay-per-view status is adding Kota Ibushi to it. Kind of a Golden Lovers reunion, but having Hangman there kind of dilutes that a little bit, making it a trios match kind of dilutes that. If you're going to do Golden Lovers versus anybody, it should be a straight-up tag team match, and I know I'm advocating for people to kind of lose their spots on the card, but it's like, just do a Battle Royal. Like, that was one of the things I liked about SummerSlam. They had all these guys that didn't make it onto the card, and it's like, just do a Battle Royal. Like, and don't do a 9-person ladder match. Just do a Battle Royal. Like, yeah, everybody gets a payday, and you have a nice, simple match that doesn't clutter things too much, and it's perfectly fine to have on there on the card. But, yeah, whatever. Golden Elite wins. I don't see Bullet Club Gold and Takeshita going over the Golden Elite. I would be very surprised if the Faces lost this match. So, yeah, Faces go over here. Then we've got, for the Tag Team Championship, the AEW Tag Team Championship, a match that was thrown into doubt given current events with Dax Harwood, but seems like this match is going to happen. It is going to take place despite the legal troubles, and that's FTR defending the AEW Tag Team Championship against the Young Bucks. Now, this is one of those matches that, yeah, it's a big match to have, especially in the stadium setting, but it's also a match that I feel like I've seen it already. We've seen the match twice before. And it was very good. I really enjoyed the last match they had, but we've seen it already. It didn't feel like this fresh, exciting thing that they're doing for the stadium setting. It just kind of felt like retreading something that we've already seen. So, but I'm sure the match will be very good. I'm sure it'll be very exciting, but it's just not... It's not like the star attraction to get me go, ooh, I got to check that shot. Honestly, the star attraction right now is the stadium setting more than anything else. That's kind of how I feel about this card. That's what's kind of got me intrigued to check out this show. But my guess is that FTR would retain, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to pick FTR to retain. And then we've got the 3 singles matches. CM Punk defending the Real World Championship against Samoa Joe, which again, another match I've seen, aside from the trilogy that they had back in Ring of Honor, they had a match already on Collision, so I'm like, I feel like I've already seen it. Now, it is, if you know the history of the two, it's kind of neat to see them going against each other in a big stadium setting. That is kind of neat. But, again, I'm not overly excited for this match, and given the whole Real World Championship thing that they're currently doing, Punk has got to cross paths with MJF at some point after this show. Might even be the main event of All Out next week. Who knows? I don't know. There's a lot of balls up in the air in regards to that show. They're going to have to rush to get that card established right after All In because they only have 2 matches signed right now for All Out. But yeah, this is a match. I feel like I've seen it already, and I highly doubt they'll be able to even come close to matching what they did in Ring of Honor back in the day. That's very hard to do. And, I've made it clear I don't think Samoa Joe is as good as he once was, but, we'll see. I'm picking Punk to retain his championship and then go on to have a storyline with MJF or maybe even use the Real World Championship to feud with the Elite. We'll see how all that plays out. But, I think Punk pretty much has to go over here. It wouldn't make any sense for Samoa Joe to win this. So Punk goes over. And then we have the main event, MJF defending the AEW World Championship against his tag team partner and best friend, Adam Cole, Bebe. And this situation with MJF and Adam Cole, the bromance, the unlikely tag team that almost won the tag titles, and the constant, teasing that MJF is going to turn, but he hasn't yet, even when he had the opportunity to do so. This whole storyline has been the best thing in AEW programming by a long shot. And I would even argue it's probably the best storyline in wrestling right now because, like I said, creatively, WWE's kind of lost steam with me, especially with the Bloodline stuff. So right now, the thing I'm most excited for is MJF and Adam Cole, and I want to see how this match plays out. I'm very, very intrigued. I would say MJF retains and Adam Cole turns heel post-match. That's going to be my prediction, but we'll see how everything plays out. Again, that's what makes this match so exciting. I don't know exactly what they're going to do or how it's going to play out. They've been doing the stuff with Roderick Strong and the Kingdom kind of observing from the sidelines. Are they going to play a role in this? Who knows? Like I said, they could do an injury angle in the pre-show that ruins the tag match and puts the main event in doubt. Who knows? This is something, it's interesting to think about, and I'm very, very excited and intrigued to see how everything plays out in regards to this match. So if there's any match on this card that I definitely want to see, it's MJF versus Adam Cole, because the way that they built this thing up and had the friendship between the two and all the stuff they've done with getting a double clothesline over and a kangaroo kick, which is, I'm going to pop so loud when MJF hits that kangaroo kick like nobody's business. But, all the stuff that they've done to make this friendship, this partnership mean something has really added a lot to this match. And I'm very excited to see where it goes, how it plays out. And I think it's the best match that AEW has set up for this card. And my only concern is that, you've got one wild hardcore match, you've got a casket match, you've got all these kind of, action-heavy matches. And it's is this going to take away from the main event having to follow all of that? I don't know, because modern wrestling, the mindset is every match has to try and be the best match on the show. I'm like, no, you don't. Stop that. Stop it. It's not good. But I don't know. I think the storyline will be enough to keep this thing exciting and interesting, and hopefully the large Wembley audience is very receptive and has been following AEW programming and knows everything because, you put this match in front of an AEW audience that's been following, they will react to just about every move they do. You put them in a setting that's kind of untested waters. I don't know. It's I would assume the people that have bought tickets to this thing have been following AEW storylines, but who knows? But so next week I will have a review of All In and let you guys know what I think. But I am done rambling. It's taken me almost an hour to get caught up, and give all my thoughts and opinions to you guys. But I am done for now. Thank you everybody once again for watching. I am back to making videos. Isn't that exciting? And once again, Godzilla the Monster Fight Record will be available on Amazon August 27th. If the hardcover and paperback versions are not there on the 27th, they will be available within the next couple of days after, I promise you. So, and then all versions of the book will be made available on September 9th, so be sure to check that out. And if you want any more information or want to reach out to me, twitter.com, well, I guess it's X now, but twitter.com @PatrickGBook. Follow me there, and you can DM me and ask me any questions you want. I am very receptive to any communications I receive. So that is all I have for you now. Thanks again, everybody, for watching, and y'all enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you all later.